Hey friends, my name is Richie and welcome back to my channel Gender Not Found. A couple of days ago I made my last video. It was about my stuffed animals and that whole thing. I can't stop. Anyway, I made a video about my stuffed animals and I don't, if you've seen it, then you know, and if you haven't seen it. Anyway, I'm gonna record some chapters of The Guardian Angel because I don't really have much else to do. My mom's not getting here till like 7 or 8. It's about 4 o'clock right now, so I figure I may as well record some chapters. I want to start posting it. I can't stop. I can't stop yawning. It's pissing me off. Anyway, I want to start posting daily content again. And the summer it's been, the summer, and okay, I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say right now. Anyway, I adopted my son, and that was awesome. And then yesterday, my support worker came, and that happened. My support worker came, and everything. And okay, I'm gonna read now, cause I'm just gonna read. Screw this. I can't stop yawning. Come on. I'm getting really pissed off that I keep yawning and I can't stop. Chapter 50. Chapter 51, A Day in the Life of Mr. Petrikov. 1 week later, 1 year and 1 week in total. Dr. Petrikov, your 8 o'clock cancelled and your mail has been sorted, the voice from the intercom said as Simon worked diligently on paperwork. Thank you very much, Sally. It's Allie, Dr. Petrikov. That's what I said, dear. It must be some sort of interference, he said into the intercom. Of course, sir. My apologies. Paperwork never ended, it seemed, but luckily enough he was almost done. He was putting his finishing touches on the last of his files for completed cases, and among those was Marshall's case file. Despite the young man no longer needing the daily therapy appointment, Simon was sure to speak to him several times a week, having grown quite close with him. The boy reminded him of his granddaughter, and it saddened him that he barely got to see her any more. Simon had been out of the country for the first 4 years of her life, returning from his worldly travels, when he got news that his only child, his daughter, was severely ill. He had taken care of her until she was 9, her father focusing on other things. Simon and his son-in-law often rubbed each other the wrong way, especially since the man had taken great measures to keep him from his grandchild once he had regained custody of her. Despite that, however, Simon knew that his granddaughter knew that he loved her. He would visit the girl when he could, and they would talk about what she was into lately, and it was always a pleasant time. She was very much her mother's daughter, and for that Simon was proud. He hadn't spoken with Marshall for the last few days now, and as he placed the completed files in their specific box, he grabbed his coat off the coat rack and walked from the office. Allie, whenever you're ready, you can leave, okay, dear? He said with a smile. Thank you, Mr. Petrikov. I'll see you tomorrow, she said, waving as he walked by and into the hall, pressing the button for the elevator, waiting as slowly it rose to the third floor, opening for him. The ride home was quiet, and knowing that Marshall would be awake, he decided to call to see how he was. He dialed, listening as the phone rang in his ear before it was answered. Hey, Simon, what's up? Marshall said. Marshall asked, sounding quite tired. I thought I'd call and check up on you. No offense, Marshall, but you sound horrible. Do you have a cold? I can make Betty's soup for you if you'd like, the older man offered as he glanced at the photograph of his late wife on the desk. Glanced at the photograph of his late wife on his desk. Well, I would love some of your chicken soup. I'm actually at Fiona's. She's taking care of me. Can I tell you something without you getting too upset? Sure, Marshall, whatever could it be that is so bad that my night would be ruined? Simon asked, pulling into the driveway of his pale blue house and climbing from the car. It came back, the cancer. I actually got out of chemo a few hours ago. The news hit him like a ton of bricks. Oh no, Marshall, I'm so sorry. That kind of does ruin my night. Hearing this, oddly, Marshall laughed. It's okay, Simon, because I'm not going to let it beat me. Right now it's a minor matter thing, but I know my mom's upset. I told her last week, and she told me I have to come and that I could bring Fiona with me too, but visits are mandatory now. I'm sorry I had to tell you over the phone, though. It's okay, Marshall. How long has it been since you discovered the relapse? More than a month, and I kind of got depressed too, but my friends really snapped me out of it and told me what I needed to hear. Well, you know that my door is open for you any time you need it, Marshall. Do feel free to call me, Simon said, walking into his kitchen and heating up a kettle on the stove as he began to prepare dinner. How did the discussion with your mother go? It went okay, Marshall said with a long yawn. She was upset, but we talked after her party. That's how the mandatory visits came to be. Okay, I'll let you get some rest now, Marshall. Have a good evening and do feel better. I will, Simon, you too. With that, the conversation came to an end, the elder man hanging up the phone and leaving it on the table as he set it down after making himself a small meal. Simon's life was not eventful. It was quiet, calm, and peaceful, just how he liked it. He finished his meal, washing the dishes before going through his routine of watering the various houseplants before settling his armchair with a book like he did every night. Tonight's selection was a scientific piece about Alzheimer's disease and its progression in adults. Simon had been diagnosed earlier in the year with early onset Alzheimer's disease after he finally brought his memory problems up to his doctor. In a way, he was preparing for what was coming and trying his best to prevent it and hold it off by eating proper foods and taking vitamins and the medicines given to him by his doctor. The prognosis was looking better, the progression had slowed significantly, and he even felt more sharp-minded. He did notice a slip-up every now and again, like this evening when he called his secretary Sally instead of Allie. That was something that he caught and made it off as a machine malfunction. Play- played off as a machine malfunction. He read late into the evening, and removing his glasses, Simon rubbed his eyes before making his way up the stairs and into his room, where he slept through the night. That night he had many vivid dreams. He dreamed about Betty and his daughter and granddaughter. He dreamed about Marshall and all the astounding progress he'd made. He'd honestly come so far when it came to opening up to and bonding with others. Honestly, he could be seen as an inspiration to other young men his age. The morning was the usual routine. Wake up, make coffee, get dressed, make breakfast, drink coffee, and go to work. Today was Hannah's call-in day, something they had chosen to keep even after Marshall was no longer required to visit the institution. So, after having a very usual morning, lunch came around and Simon's phone began ringing. Good, act- Good afternoon, Dr. Petrikov. Good afternoon, Mrs. Abidir. How are you doing today? He asked, pleasantly preparing his book to take notes on their session. I'm very well. I've been busy organizing the company's charity gala all last week. They allowed all proceeds and donations to go to a foundation that focuses on looking for a cure for those with Marshall's condition. That's wonderful. I may make a donation myself, Simon said honestly as he worked on several papers on the desk. It would be greatly appreciated. How have you and Marshall been doing? We're doing wonderfully. No conflicts at all. Very good. When have you last spoken? A few nights ago, he called to say he'd been staying at Ellen's for a while. I guess he didn't like being on his own so much after he and Fiona had been together for so long. I see. And how is his health lately? He's sick again, Simon, and just so tired sounding, especially the last time we spoke. But I assume it's because he's not getting enough sleep after the chemotherapy sessions. You know Marshall and how he can be. That I do, Mrs. Abidir, that I do. So tell me about your party. Hannah went on and on about the gala, how it was black tie Halloween themed, and how she was so happy the company took her suggestion to have the proceeds go to a foundation that might help her son or future grandchildren have easier lives. Their conversation ended at 1 o'clock like it always did, and at 1:30 his appointments began coming in, and they were all his usual crowd. However, his last three appointments cancelled, allowing the man to leave work much earlier this evening, and having the time, he decided that he wanted to visit his granddaughter and decided to call her. Hey, Grandpa, what's up? Oh, nothing much, Ju. I'm out of work early today and thought maybe you'd like to go get dinner. I'd love to. How about the steakhouse? How about the steakhouse place off the interstate between us? She asked happily. That sounds wonderful, darling. I'll see you in the hour. The drive was short, and with a smile Simon spotted her calling the parking lot. He hadn't seen his granddaughter in a few months, so this was long overdue. She'd been sitting in the restaurant when he arrived, and watched as she smiled, standing up as he hugged her. Hey, Grandpa. Hello, Marceline. Hello, hello, Marceline. How have you been? And what have you done to your hair? Hearing this, she laughed before sitting back down at the booth, her fingers going through her short black locks. Oh, same old, same old. I got bored with it and did something drastic. It was much shorter than this a few months ago, she said with a shrug, running her fingers through the short and inky black strands once again. Of course, with you, Marceline, I'd expect nothing less, Simon said with a smile, giving his drink order to the waiter who arrived. Marceline is his granddaughter. Okay, okay then. Wait, in the show, I don't know much about the show. Okay, anyway, everything's normal except that Dad's backed off a bit. He's actually okay with letting me do things my way until I decide whether or not I want any part of his company, Marceline said, taking a sip of her drink. Well, it's about time. You're a brilliant and very intelligent young lady, Marceline. He can't direct your life and future forever. This is how you'll learn to become more independent. Thanks, Grandpa. He's actually okay with me having my job at the Forest Center, too, she said with a smile before her face shifted to concern. How was your last doctor's visit? It didn't go as well as I'd hoped, dear. They're doing everything possible to slow it, but my Alzheimer's is progressing still. It has slowed, but not as much as I've hoped, he said softly. But I can't be too disappointed because I had hopes far too high for my situation. No, you didn't. It'll get better, Grandpa. Just keep doing what you're doing and everything will turn out fine. I promise. I hope so, dear. I do indeed hope so. But enough about me now. What are your plans for after dinner? I was gonna go hang out with Fiona. She wanted to go and learn how to shoot pool. Her band members are in town too, hanging out with Marshall, so she said we could all go, and I figured I could tag along and wipe the floor with them, Marceline said with a smirk, while Simon simply shook his head with a laugh. Oh, Marceline, you're going to get yourself into trouble one of these days, darling, he said, watching as their dinner arrived. Alright, Marceline is his granddaughter. Together they ate, and after bidding each other farewell, Marceline and Simon went their separate ways, Simon going home to do his usual research and to turn in at a reasonable hour for a good night's sleep, and Marceline heading to one of the venues where pool tables were in abundance. She found it, easily spotting the familiar cars of the band members, and after parking her own car, Marceline waltzed in, easily spotting the group, and among them two new faces. One was a pale girl with bleached blonde hair hanging on Ignitus, and the other was an auburn-haired girl sitting with Moko as they chatted away. Marshall was the first one who spotted her, and looking up from the pool table, he waved at her, this catching Fiona's attention before he lined up and took his shot. Marcy, I missed you, Fiona said happily as she bounced over, hugging her friend. Geez, Fee, it's only been a week. You act like I've been gone forever, the dark-haired girl said with a laugh, looking around again at the group. Apparently she looked in FP's direction a bit too long, because she was met with the angry glower of the bleached blonde, who made it a point to now sit on his lap. At this Marceline rolled her eyes just in time to catch the end of Fiona's sentence. Wait. I'll introduce you to everyone else. The blonde pulled her to the other side of the table. This is Mo and Kate. Mo is our backup guitarist. I'm sure you haven't met him yet. And Kate is his girlfriend. She's really cool, Fiona said with a smile, watching as they all exchanged pleasantries. Next, they turned to the only one Marceline did know, and the dark-haired girl could hear the almost hidden undertone of dislike in the blonde's voice. And this is Angel. I'm Ignitus's girlfriend, and don't forget that, the bleached blonde said, cutting Fiona off, glowering at Marceline. Whatever, she said with a shrug before looking behind her. Hey, Ig. Hey, Marcy, he said quickly, looking away from her, which in all honesty Marceline found weird. This was not the first time they'd hung out, but it was with his girlfriend, and almost instantly she understood, especially when the girl on his lap gave Fiona a scathing look as well. "What's up with the big times?" she asked, leaning on the pool table and completely ignoring Angel, who began fuming. "We're getting there. At least check At last check, we had close to 33,000 in CD sales. We need 40,000 before Aberdeen will sign us," Ignitus said, ignoring his angry girlfriend as he continued to talk to his fellow bassist. "I know, my dad's uptight about stuff like that, and Ignitus, let's go over there," Angel said, standing and pulling him away, almost making him fall from his seat. "What's the matter, Ig? You aren't allowed to have any female friends because you're whipped now?" Marceline asked, suddenly noticing as how the majority of the group seemed to focus on her at that exact moment. "I'm not whipped. I can be friends with whoever I want," Ignitus said, suddenly sounding insulted. "Iggy, I want to leave. Let's go," Angel said with her hands on her hips. "Go ahead, whipped boy, but if you want to prove to me otherwise, stay for a one-on-one game with me. Bassist against bassist. The choice is yours," she said simply, cocking an eyebrow. "Iggy! Angel, enough, jeez. Come on, Iggy. You have nothing to prove to her. Besides, I want to do something more fun than this with just you." "In a little bit, Angel. It can wait just one round of pool," he said, standing and walking over to her table, Marceline trailing behind him as she grabbed her pool stick from the rack, the rest of the group watching as they started their game. "Fee, Marcy has some balls," Marshall said lowly, leaning close to the blonde so they wouldn't be overheard. "I know, she reminds me of you. But I'm not the only one who doesn't like Angel, right? Nope, I can't stand the chick, and neither Ash or Mo like her either. I like Kate, though. She's a nice girl. I'm glad Mo found her." "Me too, and she said she's from Atlanta, so Mo found himself a sassy southern girl, if you ask me," she said with a smirk. "Am I stripes or solids?" the blonde asked, looking back at the pool balls. "Stripes, I'm solids," he said, watching as she lined up her shot, holding the pool stick awkwardly as she leaned over the table. Reaching over, he corrected her form, watching as Fiona aimed, hit the ball, and came close to sinking her shot. Fiona moved to let Marshall take his turn and watched the game between Marceline and Ignitus. It seemed that her friend was doing everything in her power to piss off Angel, and to Fiona's amusement, it was working. Slowly, Marceline circled the table, finding a suitable shot before adjusting her shirt and leaning across the table, easily sinking her shot before repeating the process. It seemed that each time the cycle continued, Angel got angrier and angrier, and suddenly Fiona had an idea on what was going to happen. Marceline seemed to be way better at pool than she let on to be, and Ignitus hated to lose more than anything, and Marceline was planning to wipe the floor with him, and to redeem his pride, Ignitus would challenge her to a rematch, and all of this was to piss off his girlfriend. Ignitus was an unknowing pawn in Marceline's brilliant scheme. "Oh, Marcy, you clever thing, you," Fiona said softly with a smirk, before going back to her game. She and Marshall had been playing again and again, and just like she thought, Marceline owned every game, and Ignitus refused to leave until he regained his honor. At this point, it was now their sixth game, and Angel had left enough more than 20 minutes ago, which nobody seemed to mind. The group was watching Ignitus and Marceline play, while Fiona lined up her shot, and before she could take it, she felt a hand squeeze her butt, and quickly Fiona whipped around, punching the man responsible right in the jaw watching as he hit the ground. The sound earned the group's attention, and they all watched as Fiona quickly began kicking him repeatedly. "Don't you ever touch me again, you sick freak!" she shouted, grabbing the nearest pool ball, which happened to be the cue ball, and throwing it hard into the man's stomach as Marshall, who seemed to have finally snapped free of his daze, quickly pulled the raging blonde back, the bouncer grabbing the man on the floor, who reeked of alcohol, and tossing him from the building. "Seriously, Fee, just knee him in the junk next time. You don't have to go completely bananas. Get him in the junk, punch him in the gut, or get him in the throat, and come tell me, or at least one of us," Marshall said seriously. "I don't want you getting into trouble. Just do enough to get whoever it is away from you, and you find one of us. If you have to fight, fight, but I'd rather it be me than you know," he said softly, as Fiona began to calm down as she took deep breaths. "Marsh, I love you, but if any man that's not you touches me in a way that only you would, I'm gonna punch his lights out," Fiona said angrily. "I agree, it got the message across. I'm saying that you don't have to is all. Marshall said, wrapping his arms around the blonde as he sat down in the seat, still holding her tightly as he rested his head on her back. Fiona perched on his lap and still fuming, as slowly her anger receded as she listened to his voice. You sound tired, Marsh. I feel tired, Fee, he said, quietly squeezing her tighter, and feeling as Fiona wiggled in his arms before pulling out her cell phone. What's up, Finn? The blonde asked, leaning back against Marshall's chest. Marshall could hear Finn's voice loud and excited through the phone, but could barely make out what was being said, though he jumped when Fiona shrieked, What? What do you mean they're having another baby? Again, Marshall could hear the sound of Finn's voice, and he swore Fiona was going to die from shock. What do you mean she's 6 months along? How could they not know? Her outbursts had gained the group's attention now, and having momentarily abandoned the game, Marceline walked over. What's wrong, Fee? Jake and Lady are having another baby. She's 6 months along, and they just found out today, like 3 hours ago. How do you not notice something like that? The dark-haired girl said in shock. I don't know. Finn, Mom's gonna pretty much die from shock, you know this, right? What do you mean they're going over to tell her now? Finn, I'm 2 towns away. After a moment, Fiona hung up the phone and sighed. Oh, Glob, Mom's gonna have a heart attack. Like, seriously, I saw Lady and Jake 2 weeks ago, and she doesn't even look pregnant, the blonde said, standing from her seat on Marshall's lap and grabbing a hoodie and looking over to Marshall. Gotta go home to make sure... Gotta go home to make sure your mom doesn't go crazy? Marshall asked with a grin. Yeah, wanna go home and sleep? I'm tired too, she said with a smile. Sure, let's go, he said, standing and bidding the group their farewells, Marceline having gone back to the game of pool after saying goodnight for the evening. Together, Marshall and Fiona headed back to her house to hopefully save Jake from the wrath of their mother. Alright, that's good. I'm gonna fit another chapter into this, same video. I'm gonna start doing 2 chapters a video. Even if it's an hour, it'll only take, I think, like 2.5 hours to upload, and so there's that. Plus, I can upload multiple videos at once if I want to. I don't know if I'm gonna have this uploaded today or tomorrow, but I'm gonna add another chapter, and then I'm gonna just put them both together. Hey guys, the time skip is almost done. Oh, it is? Sweet. But just so you know, I'm putting the story on hiatus for 2 weeks. That's 4 updates so I can catch up on all my schoolwork. I have 2 major projects I have to get finished, and I haven't started either of them, so they must get done. So all of my focus has to be on that. I do apologize in advance. Sorry for the late updates as of late too, guys. I've had tons going on, but anyways, here's the next chapter and only 10 reviews before reviews reach 800. Remember, the 800th reviewer gets rewarded. With what? Do we get like a sneak peek at the next? It doesn't matter. There's still a ton of this book to go. We are on chapter 51, and it goes a long, long way. We have way more than half. We still have more than half to go. We're not. I think we're like a third of the way through. 60, 100. I don't know, but it goes till 134. 134 chapters. And the last time I messaged the guy, he said he was working on the outro, so, there's that. Anyway, I'm gonna I'll be right back, and I'm gonna put both of these chapters together, and I'm gonna post them as one video. And I'm back with the second chapter, literally 5 seconds later. Okay, let's see. Chapter 52, Rocky Roads. 1 week later. 1 year and 2 weeks. Well, I don't want you anywhere near that girl. She ruined our date. Angel snapped, storming out of the living room and down the hall as she headed towards the stairs. She only ruined it for you, Angel. She's my friend. You're my girlfriend. I'm with you, so what the hell is the big deal? Ignitus asked, following after the blonde. Their relationship was one of an unusual sort, starting with a one-night stand that turned to a fling that turned to dating. Entering the room, he found her smoking by the window. Angel always had a joint or two already rolled up in case of an emergency situation. Apparently, this called for one. You want to know the big deal? The big deal is that you chose her over me. You're always choosing somebody over me, Ignitus. What is it? That they're better than me? That I'm less than they are because I'm not in a band? What's the problem? She snapped, her hands on her hips, glaring at him. Hearing this, FP was taken aback. It wasn't like that at all. Did Angel feel like that? Like he'd been treating her differently from the others, that like she was left out and unloved, like how his parents made him feel in comparison to his sister. And Ange, I'm sorry, I never meant to make you feel this way, he said softly. Oh, you did, Ignitus. You did make me feel this way, and it doesn't feel nice either, she said, crossing arms and turning away from him as the room was engulfed in silence. What can I do to make it better? He suddenly asked. In all honesty, he really liked Angel. FP felt like a horrible person for making her feel the way she did. Again, the room was silent. I don't like people coming between us, Ignitus. It's not fair that you don't see me as much as you see them. And I don't like that girl either. Okay, I'll talk to Marcy and tell her not do so, but not her. The other blonde one who came after we did. She kept staring at us and giving me dirty looks, Angel said, still not looking at Ignitus, who stared at her back in shock. Who, Fiona? Angel, that has to be a mistake. I don't think Fiona could give a dirty look if she tried. She was playing pool with Marshall all night. Besides, she likes everyone. Okay, so just because you're friends, I'm automatically wrong? That she wasn't giving me dysfunctional looks? Okay then, fine, I get it. What? No, that's not what I. Ah, fine. I'll talk to Fiona too, okay? He asked, hoping this would satiate his girlfriend for the time being. Thank you, Ignitus. It means so much that you care, Angel said with a sweet smile and teary eyes as she hugged him, tightly catching him off guard, as slowly he hugged her back. I always care. I just want you to be happy, Angel. Um, he said, holding her as she squeezed him. And you make me so happy, Ignitus. Really, just so, so happy, she said softly before pulling away from him. So, I got something new the other day, and I was hoping you'd try it with me, she asked, hurrying back over to her desk. Okay, what is it? My guy said it was called Pervitin or cinnamon, which sounds really weird because I know that's not what it is, she said, pulling out the small bag. So, what's it do? Ignitus asked wearily as he sat on the desk. It's like Molly, only it lasts longer. But instead of swallowing it, we can mix it into the pot and just smoke it like that. Or we can swallow it like the Molly, too, she said with a grin. Angel, is this all we're gonna do? Smoke whatever, drink whatever, and screw around? Because I like you, I really do, but this is losing its fun fast. I mean, I only used to smoke when I wanted to have a bit of fun or when I was stressed. But we've been doing this almost every time we've hung out or hooked up, Ignitus said, watching as she looked pleadingly at him. Come on, Iggy, please. Have I ever steered you wrong? If my guy says it's good, then it's good. Just trust me on this, the blonde whined, watching as the redhead ran his fingers through his hair with an annoyed sigh. Fine, okay? But like a tiny bit. You have no idea what the hell that is anyway, he said, sitting on her bed. He said it's like Molly, Angel said, simply not understanding why Ignitus seemed so hesitant about it. Yeah, like Angel, not is. There's a difference, Ignitus Ignitus said honestly, feeling like he was being bullied into this. Glancing over at the clock, he swore. He was late for work. His boss didn't do lateness. Turning, he hurried from the room and headed and raced down the stairs and ran to his truck, quickly driving off, the blonde yelling after him. Ignitus, kid, this is the third time this week, the older man said, scratching his head before putting his hat back on. I know, I'm sorry, some things have come up this week. You're a horrible liar. How about this? Because you have proven in the past that you can be a model employee with a good track record, tell me the truth about what's going on and I'll let it go. However, this will be considered your only warning, Ignitus. Thanks, Starchy. So here's the gist. This chick has my head twisted, man. Like she's one way with me, then she acts totally different around my friends. And when it comes to my friends, she totally flips. But despite all that, I really like her, he said, watching as the man before him scratched his mustache. Honestly, that sounds really unstable for any relationship to be like that, kid. I'm not saying you should break up with her, so don't get me wrong, but maybe you both need some time apart to find where your priorities lay in the relationship. You seem to want it to last, but she seems to have a jealousy issue. That can mess things up, you know? Hearing this, Ignitus nodded. Well, kid, I'm not paying you to be your therapist. Get to work, and just remember this. If it affects your work or your social life, then it's a problem that needs to be addressed, Starchy said, watching as once again the redhead nodded, quickly getting to work. The shift was a normal one, filled with the usual crowd, and since they had a gig tomorrow, FP wasn't surprised when Marshall and Fiona entered the store. Hey, Egg, what's up? Fiona asked, leaning on the counter, while Marshall walked to where the non-alcoholic drink case was. Not much, just having trouble with Angel. We're not currently seeing eye to eye, I guess you could say, he said, wiping the dust off of the glass bottles behind him and shaking the rag clean. Well, what's wrong? Fiona asked curiously. She doesn't like. It's nothing. Don't worry about it, he said with a wave of his hand, while Fiona looked at him in concern. Okay, I guess. How did your mom take the news of Lady and Jake's baby number two? Now Fiona laughed. Oh my glob, Egg, not well at all. He hid behind me and Lady. So, your brother's having another baby? Marshall asked on the car ride back from the bar where they'd been playing pool. Apparently so, but Finn thought I was home. Ma is not going to be too happy about this, Fiona said, shaking her head as they finally pulled into the driveway. Quickly both of them entered the house, watching as Jake handed his mother a glass of water, Ellen staring at it curiously before looking back at her son. Lady was holding Jake Jr., aka Jackie, and walking over Jake stood behind Lady before peering over her shoulder looking at his mother. Lady's pregnant again, he said quickly. Fiona quickly walked into the kitchen and watched as their mother began drinking a glass of water, emptying it before gently placing the glass on the counter, slowly turning to look back at her son and soon-to-be daughter-in-law. I'm sorry, could you say that again, Jake? I'm quite sure that I misheard you, she said with a laugh as she pressed her fingers against her temple. Uh-oh, that was their mom's you'd better be kidding me stance. We're having another baby, and Lady's 6 months along, and we both just found out today, Jake said quickly. That that is roughly what I thought you said. Do you not know what condoms are? Do I need to buy them for you for your birthday? Put them in a card and send them to you weekly? We weren't expecting to have another one so soon. Oh, glob, Jake. You and Lady weren't expecting Jackie either. You're too young. How many are you planning to have? When are you going to get more baby stuff? Where are you going to get more baby stuff? What? It's a girl. What? And I wanted to name her after Dad's mom, Grandma Charlene. I figured we could call her Charlie. Aw, sweetie, what? No! Do not make me aw when I'm mad at you. Ellen, we know it's going to be tough, and we're scared. We weren't expecting the baby. I just wasn't losing any weight, and my doctor did a blood test to see if maybe it was my insulin. I promised that this wasn't intended. I didn't even know, Lady said, looking absolutely devastated. It's hard enough with just one. Oh, babe, it's going to be okay, Jake said, hugging his fiancée. Everything will be okay. You know, we would never just leave you when you need help. You two should know that, Ellen said softly. We'll make this all work out just fine. So all in all, it was a success, especially since I didn't have to stop Mom from killing him, the blonde said with a laugh. That's good. So about that night, was Angel giving anyone like dirty looks or something like that? Hell, dude, even I could tell you she was. That chick is so anti-female, it's ridiculous, Marshall said, bringing the 2 bottles of soda to the front along with a handful of snacks. Actually, I'm pretty sure that if I hung all over you and hit on you, she'd be death glaring at me too. No way, she wouldn't, Ignitus said softly. Okay, well, how about this? Does she know about Emperor? Fiona asked, watching as he shook his head. No, we've only been to her place. Okay, so why don't you invite her to your place? Ember said she was working all weekend, so the only proof of her would be the picture of the two of you she put up on the wall and some of her things in the house. Okay, Ignitus said, not really getting what Fiona's intentions were. Big, watch her get supremely jealous over your sister. She'll overreact ridiculously, and then you might be able to see what we see her doing. Okay, I can do that, but I think I'll have her come over when Emma's due to be home. Emma can always talk some sense into me. If Angel's being out of order, she'll definitely do something about it, Ignitus said softly. Fiona stared questioningly at Ignitus, and hearing this, Marshall spoke up. Are you sure it's a good idea to do this without warning Ember? You know how she can be, especially when she's mad. Marshall said warily, watching as Ignitus grinned, dusting off the last of the bottles before ringing up their stuff. I know, and that's exactly what I'm hoping for. Ignitus's next few days passed quickly, and after patching things up with Angel after their most recent fight, he waited around his apartment for her to show up, which she claimed she would by 6:30. Ember was due home around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. His plan was simple: just do what he usually did, put on the TV, make some dinner, and wait. He was halfway through making dinner when there was a knock on the door. Come in, he called out, still peeling the potatoes. Hey, Iggy, I'm so glad you finally invited me over here, Angel said, beaming, dropping her purse on the table. Well, it's the first time Yup, my roommate's been away for work, so I thought why not? He said, smiling over his shoulder, as he pulled out a cutting board and began cubing the potatoes, dumping the chunks into the boiling pot of soup. Oh, that's sweet of you, Ig. How long will he be gone? She should be back in a couple of hours, he said, watching out of the corner of his eye as she stiffened before shaking it off. I'm just going to sit in the living room, she said, watching as Ignitus nodded, now cutting up more vegetables. Make yourself at home, he said, not even looking back at her as he carefully continued cutting. I'm going to change the channel on the TV. Uh-huh, he called back, still focusing on cooking. Actually, where's the bathroom? 3 doors down on the left, Ignitus said, stirring the pot. Thanks, babe, the blonde said, walking down the hall. The first room was obviously a male's, and by the looks of it, with all the clothes in the base, it was Ignitus's. The second room was neat and tidy, and the bed sheets were black and white, and the gender of the owner was honestly hard to tell. Quickly, Angel hurried to the bathroom, closing the door. First thing she did was open the glass mirror of the vanity. Toothpaste, floss, toothbrushes, Tylenol, peroxide, band-aids. Nothing's gender-specific, she said in annoyance. Turning, she opened the towel cabinet and found surprise-only towels. Closing it, Angel flicked off the light and shut the door, walking back out into the living room before flopping on the couch. She looked around, wondering who his roommate was, before she caught sight of a framed picture on one of the corner tables, quickly snatching it up. Oh, Iggy? Yeah, babe. Who's this? Angel asked, walking into the kitchen, holding the picture frame. Oh, that's last year's vacation pic, he said simply, now washing the dishes. I kinda got that. I mean, who's in the picture? That's me and Ember, Ignitus said simply, hearing the annoyance in her voice. Well, aren't you two close? She said, now sounding snippy. What are you so irritated about? It's just a picture, Ignitus said softly, watching as she blinked. She's very pretty, Angel said softly. Yeah, I know. Beautiful, actually, she said, now looking up at Ignitus, who continued working on the dishes. She watched as he grabbed the handle of a drawer, opening it. That she is, he said with a smile, now towel drying the bigger of the dishes as he leaned against the counter. So you agree that she's really pretty? Yup. Are we gonna be playing 20 questions over that photo, Angel? Ignitus asked abruptly. Just one more question, she said with a dangerous smile. Shoot. Is she in your past for good? She asked, staring at the redhead. Sorry, but no. She's actually my roommate. What? It was at that moment Ignitus decided that standing within reach of his girlfriend when she was mad was a bad thing for the one reason that her screams of anger were deafening. Was a bad thing for the one reason that her screams of anger were deafening. What the hell is with all the yelling? I bet neighbors could hear you all the way down the hall. Jeez, Ignitus said with his finger in his ear, watching as Ember waltzed into the kitchen. I know I could. Who's this, Iggy? Ember asked, looking the blonde up and down before taking her coat off. Only I can call him Iggy, Angel snapped, watching as the redhead's head whipped over to face her with a glare. And who are you supposed to be exactly? The redhead asked, hanging up her coat and heading right over to the dinner pot before tasting it. I'm his girlfriend, the blonde snapped, now glowering at the roommate, if she could even be called that. Have you tried adding hot sauce? Ember asked, looking at Ignitus as he shook his head. No, will it taste better? Tons, she said with a grin, reaching into the cabinet and handing him the bottle, subtly ignoring the enraged blonde. Are you even listening to me? Angel snapped, finally tired of being so deliberately ignored. I'm sorry, were you saying something? Ember asked in a bored tone, watching as the girl in front of her fumed. Iggy, Ember said, slinging her arm around her brother's shoulder and giving him a peck on the cheek, knowing it was severely irritating the blonde. Why don't you introduce me to your little friend? Yeah, sure. Emma, this is Angel, my girlfriend. Angel, this is Ember, my roommate and sister, he said, watching as Angel looked ready to start yelling again before she was struck by confusion. Wait, what? She's my sister, my twin sister, he said, feeling the need to clarify what he thought to be an obvious fact. Oh, I gotta go home actually. I have some unfinished homework I forgot about. What? She said, and before Ignitus could even speak up, the blonde quickly left the apartment. Ignitus, if you ever use me to make any of your girlfriends jealous again, I'll skin you alive and put you in the stew, Ember said, turning to look at him with a glower. Now he laughed nervously. How long were you standing outside the door? I heard the entire photo conversation. Oh, he said, looking away quickly. Yeah, oh, for that you're going to be my guinea pig for the night, understood? Ember asked with her hands on her hips. Okay. Geez, Ig, don't sound so disappointed, Ember said, rolling her eyes. My agency gave me tons of stuff to try. Facial masks and cleansers and makeups, and because we're allergic to the same stuff, you're going to try it for me. After all, my face is kind of our bread and butter, she said while her brother nodded in agreement. It was true after all. Oh, and since you saw it in theaters 4 times, I did buy Frozen for you. Yes! The scene was one that would confuse most individuals. Sure, most teenagers would be watching television and more movies perhaps, but in this house of misfits, anything and everything was possible. Even Ignitus was wearing a mud mask, a towel around his shoulders, and sitting by his sister's feet, while she put his hair in multiple pigtails. Iggy, I swear to Glob, stop moving, Ember said, flicking his ear, as she pulled his hair back and into another of the plastic ties. I can't, this is the best part, shut up, he said, swatting at her hand, entranced by the movie. Don't tell me to shut up, Ignitus, Ember snapped, now smacking the back of his head. Woman, just let me sing. For the love of Glob, Elsa is expressing her ability to be free for once, so just, Ignitus, if you say let it go to me one more time, so help me, Ember said threateningly. But it's funny. Hey, you just sit and watch. Fine, he said with a pout. Once the song ended, Ember sighed and rewound it. Fine, go ahead and sing it, she said with a smirk, as she shook her head, watching her brother sing Let It Go before standing and walking from the room to make herself some tea. On her way back, there was a knock on the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyways. Opening the door, Ember almost dropped her tea in shock. What do you two want? Hey, who's at the door? Ignitus asked, peering into the hall, the face mask still on and his hair still in the many pigtails. Seeing the two individuals, the first thing he noticed was the utter disappointment in his father's face. Oh, come on. What are you guys doing here? Well, it certainly wasn't to see you acting like a woman, their father said with a scowl. My sexual choices are none of your damn business, and for your information, I'm not gay. I'm trying all this crap for Ember. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Ignitus, but we're here to speak to your sister, their mom said, as now Ember scowled. Anything you have to say to me you can say in front of him, so go ahead and talk, she said, leaning against the door frame, taking a sip of her tea. Fine then, your grandmother has had an accident and she's in the hospital. What? What happened to Nana? Ignitus asked quickly, feeling his heart race. Her hip is broken, but at her age, something like this could be quite debilitating, so we wanted to know if you could stay with her for a while. I can. I'll call my boss right now and get a few weeks off. That'll give you time to get time after me off, and we can have Marsh and Fiona and the right to check in on her once she's recovered enough to be left alone, Ignitus said, pulling out his cell phone. Ig, go wash that stuff off your face. It's been a half hour, Ember said, watching as he nodded and left the room, just as he began speaking to his boss. Ember, we don't want him taking care of her. He'll probably set the house on fire or invite his friends over there and wreck it. In my house, she said, cutting off her father. You will not disrespect him. Ignitus loves Nana with all his heart and more. He'll be more than competent to take care of her. After all, he goes down to help her do yard work and grocery shop every weekend. He will be a great caretaker for her, and Nana will be thrilled to have him. Thank you for letting us know, she said, getting ready to close the door. Fine, we'll trust him with this, but if anything goes wrong, when have any of your fears been justified? When has anything you two were so sure of ever been right? My brother was not a drug dealer. He never used drugs. He smoked pot a few times and drank, and that was it. He never did anything as bad as you thought, so give him a chance. That's all he wants from you two. A chance to prove himself. Just give him that. Okay, we'll see what happens with this and go from there. She'll be out of the hospital next week, their mother said softly as together they stepped back, Ember shutting the door and locking it. Turning, she walked back into the apartment. Where'd they go? Ignitus asked, looking around for their parents. They left, Ember said simply, watching as his face fell. Oh. Nana will look forward to seeing you, you know. I know, I just talked to Starchy, and he said I can have the next 2 weeks off. That should get you time to get time off, right? Ignitus asked, scratching his cheek. Yeah, Ig, that'll be easy. I'll get the time, no problem, the redhead said to her brother with a smile. Let's see, she said, poking at his face. That stuff worked nicely, Ember said, grinning. I might have to use it myself, but anyways, Nana gets out of the hospital next week, so there's nothing we can do now. How about we just finish the movie? Heck yes! Quickly, he hopped over the back of the couch, grabbing the remote and pressed play, and with a smile, Ember joined him in the living room, wondering if maybe the rift in her family could be fixed, if her parents were willing to let that happen, or if they ever would. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video, and uh, that's gonna be it for this video. So that was 2 chapters, and I'll be bringing you guys the next chapter probably later today or tomorrow. I love each and every one of you guys. Please don't forget to always be yourself, and you are valid, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.